Hello, dengan saya Hornbill TV laga NAGAMESE Express menyamai kikon aji laga kubur ini ka Chennai dia se. Nagaland laga Woka district de Toyang Dam Reservoir de Manu Division Down Hua de May 2017 de kundu juagli 1 PM nishna de elantunguli laga body paise aro thungjo pattern laga body do aji morning de paise gose kundu underwater drone bra dai laga body do spot korise gose. Search operation do SDRF aro NDRF laga combined team bra search operation loise. Woka district pitore thaka Longsa village de bishi salbra rasta biya hoigina thaka do village council aro bosti manukan bra sorkar laga madat na loigina nijor laga posti laga rasta banai dishe taikan goshi gi union minister kan bishi ahya biche debi posti ge hisab gore nai Thursday de Longsa village council chairman Pompiamo Kikon Bra, Hornbill TV ke janaishe, taikan 202 meters nishna rasta stretch, cement block bra banai dishe. Are do nimide, Longsa Manukan, Bosti Aro town de, Tagakan Bra contribute kurigina fund kurishe. Chairman Bra, Arogushe, Jar Dwi Salde, Village Council Bra, Sorgar Laga Madat Naloigina, Jarta projects Panaishe, Duida Jaga de 1 kilometer, Aro Jar kilometer Laga Agri Link Road, Hospital Approach Road, Aro Itia Laga Village Road. Kikon Bra, Kushi Napa Janagina Kushiki, Taikan Bishi Duk Bai Takanimide, Bishi Bar, State Aro Central Leaders Kange, Memorandum Aro Appeal Letters Bataidishe, Kindu Ego Jawapanai. Agede Daibra Janashe, Circular Road, Kundu Longsa Bosti Aro Pongitong Bosti Ge Connect Korea, Eduke PWD RNB Department Bra, 15 Salopor Chari Diabra, Tuida Bosti Laka Economy Pia Korea Se. Poila taikan ek khanda atabra punchibule pariado itia do dui khanda loya se goshe alag rasta loabra government high school laga niche de thaga rasta bi landslide nimide khatra thaga goshe khali rasta no hoigina school nimide bi taibra department aro concerned authority ge side bi ko ase dangor hatsa na hwa akide
aji aman longsa pusida hina se to aman dikhi panis na screen de dikhi panis na etia longsa village council khan tahan nijor kam rasta bana je to aman etia chairman longsa village council lo de aina kotha go telo de ekbar duita kotha honibo tahan ki la kam ja je du aman tai pra aman ge details share go
acha itu achikali to government bara olop neglect kora nishina ase longsa do etu karne hi ede amekan block para rasta bana ase etu to longsa village council aro public aro kohima dimapur okha thaka manu han para hi contribute kurigina donation enaga bara hi jai ase aro amekan to etu bara hi rasta amakan longsa laga develop to eni nichor bara komai gina nohele bi koma etu joma kori gina hi donation bara hi jai ase government laga paisa 1 taka bi nai etu karone hi etu kan stone das aro ki materials kan bi sob longsa laga stone crusher taka manu kan bara hi sob free di gina amakan eman tak kam do jai ase aro especially etu public kan bara yate ekjon manu bi etu plans manu mistri nai sob local bara hi free labor bara hi amekan etu kam do jai ase etu bara posti manu kan logoti bi ami bishi thanks jana di ase aro especially opor school aro etu amakan laga lifeline longsa laga etu bi ini etu pani season to giribuli ase school to atha to giriche etu karne hi amekan na bisare bi nohai etu laga to memorandum bi minister tak level tak bi amekan punjai diche holi bi eku action nai etu bara etu kan bi taikan bara sai dile phala se etu bi janai di ase aro amekan 2 sal majode government puisa nalagi gina amekan etu Nagaland one of the etu organic vegetables kan do longsa bara hi olai sobsi bishi to etu bara olai agri link road bi tabi nai etu karne amekan 2 sal majode 3.5 kilometer ekta aro 4 kilometer ekta tuita rasta amekan longsa bara hi contribute kurina amekan agri link road bi bonaise aro longsa do hospital approach road bi etu bi ek din do hele do one way bi hobo etu karne etu bi amekan tade hi Amen joma kori kina approach road ekta aro itu milai kina amekan project charta do government puisa ekta ka bi nohai kina amekan nichur joma kori kina hi lungsa manu bara enakai jai ase bina jane di ase aro niche de ekta 15 years back rasta to sob kiri jaise circular road thakisile etu bara bishi tukpai etu khan bi etia tak bi government logo de do bishi pongjai holibi etia tak bi ahi kina ek chobole bi na bara hoji dia etu karne etu kan bi sai dile bhal ase sob si amakan town osor howa bara bishi bhag to hele do union minister sob lungsa dia ahe holibi amakan memorandum bi hotai submit kore holibi ekku action na loy aro bishi bhag function thakile do town osor howa bara yate hi lungsa bara ahi kina lui thake etu bara etu kan do government bara lungsa ki do neglect na korile bhal ase koi kina ekta kotha janai di ase thank you tia do amekan do 600 feet nishina block para hi mare ase etu do amekan lungsa out de thaka manukan aro posti manukan council miligina ekdam cooperate para etu hi amakan paket para hi kore ase
acha to etu materials bi amnian nature contribute kurna bana ase
oi
to etu block to kotera ani na bana ase
block to hele do mokan do jiro hat pare order kore etu circular road etu ase etu rasta do hele do duita posti jai pongi tung aro lungsa para use kore holibi 15 years par hoise tu kirigina holibi government logo dibi mane bel kore ase eku bi action na loy etu karne aman bishi tukpa ase etu thaki shigole do circular road ase pongu tung jabi tade bara do at least 2 hours loy yade bara do le half an hour si loy etu karne he etu kan bi government bara amakan namanga bi no mangina bishi deri hoise holibi etu kan bi sai dile do government logo dibi amekan etu request kore ase
Kohima laga Deputy Commissioner Kumar Ramnikant pra Tuesday January ekta dishe Kohima Mau Road NH02 BPCL e-service station Jahama Osore minor bridge to barishwa nimide biya hoi jabra garikan jabole bon kurina ase tangor garikan 12 ton laga opor thaga jabole na parbo aro alak sob sham 7 bajibra pujur 7 bajitak jabole bon hobo heavy motor vehicle 12 tons laga niche kan khali ekta time de ekta ekla jabole dibo aru speed limit 5 km per hour hi hobo traffic bon kurigina thaka homoy manukange ke BSF camp Chakapama military station Kezoma prayer park kitima rasta lobi kushe Cyclone Rimalbra North East Bura de lash out kurigina jade irrigation aro flood control department of Manipur brakushe cyclone bra third worst flood anishe state laga history de ita dak duita manu murina ase Senapati district de landslides aro flood duita alak incidents de incessant rainfall bra river de overflowing gordishe bishi jaga de hospitals 3-star hotels government offices aro court complex buildings can completely bani under de submerged kori dishe education departments can schools aro colleges can Wednesday bra bon kori dishe bishi school buildings can pani under de hoi jabra rescue operation do bishi jaga de jari ase aro families bishi terrace aro ucha jaga de start hoigina ase ekta widely rescue effort jade team of National Disaster Response Force bra local agencies logo milaina 46 maiki 40 mota aro 2 infants ke bajaishe Maibakul village Imphal East district e NDRF team gushiki operation do eta bi jari ase
Nagamapan lambi sing fazana saukhale asonda leiba gai sing thogo ko yadom mandre
Baby namin gagawin pamo Ibo pumulok ki tawraga ang sing yo khondor ho tawri kan na je homi sing na
Aji May 30 days State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities Nagaland or Prodigal Som Dimapur Bra AIDA Kimbaste Disability Opor Ekta Consultative Workshop Rakishe. Yet State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities Nagaland Ditono Nakrobra keynote presentation dia homai goshe Church kan brabi disability thaka manukan ge madat kurubole parbo taikanimide church kan de arrangements kan kurigina. Tai goshe society de disability laga opor misconception bishe ase aro disabled thaka magi khan hi bishe dictari samna kuriya goshe.
Tribal dialects and languages is important. Just recently also in Kohima we had a workshop, a program together with the NAGAMESE Disability Forum with some of the churches in Kohima, in and around Kohima. So it was a few of them came. We had a good discussion together. So it's about making the church inclusive. The inclusive church. How welcoming is your church is the question that we put forth to the churches. So accessibility, when we talk about accessibility, it's not only about the physical accessibility, the physical environment, but it's about communication, it's about the transportation, and so many other issues are there with regard to accessibility. So when we talk about, I will be touching on that also, when we talk about the physical environment, for a person like me on a wheelchair, it's very important for me to be able to get into a building, to be able to move around inside the rooms. You know, if it is not accessible, then I cannot do anything, I cannot go anywhere. But for a blind person, maybe for a deaf person, or for a person with intellectual disability or some other disability, the physical, it is important, but still it is not the most major thing in their life again. You know, they need accessibility in other ways, you know, the communication, how can it be accessible for how do we communicate with the deaf community, or how do we make sure that the blind people are getting, you know, the information that they should be getting. You know, those kind of accessibility aspects, we don't think about it also. So those are the things that I hope one of these days we will be able to have another meeting together with the churches. And it's not only about making the church inclusive, it is also about the services that the church is primed, you know, in the right position to provide for many categories of disabilities. And that is one thing that I have been saying over and over again. You know, we in Nagaland, because I mean, that's the truth, that there was a lot of neglect in the disability sector for a very, very long time. It is only in this past few years that we are making some progress, and we are happy about that. But we still have a very, very long way to go and a lot of work to be done. And the services, you know, the rehabilitation services, the therapies, the, you know, various kinds of services that disabled people need to live their lives, you know, to be able to function on an everyday basis. Many of them are still lacking in our society, in our state, because of the neglect. Nothing was started for so many years, you know, through the years, nothing was started. So now a few you know, private centers are cropping up, which is a very good thing. The government, it's you know, still lacking in so many ways. Some are being started. Of course, we have the BDRC, where led by Dr. Imli, which is doing a lot of good work here around Dimapur. But that is only one center, and how much can it do? How will it serve the rest of the state? So we do have a huge lack of services, you know. So the church is actually in a great position to be able to provide some of these services, you know, volunteer services also. And but as I said, this is another topic. So I hope we get the time one of these days to have another good discussion about the things, many of these things which I feel the church can do. And which I hope they will also work with us, get more involved in the disability sector. If we want to do anything in the disability sector, then we have to first understand the disability issues and why something is so important, because without understanding that, we can talk about doing this, we can talk about doing that, we are going to start this project, or we are going to become, start a mission, a kind of ministry in the disability sector. But without really understanding what disability is, what the issues are, and what the needs are, and why such a thing is needed, then in the end, it becomes a useless exercise, or becomes a kind of a waste of time also in many cases. When we talk about disability, it is not really, it is not something to be scared about. It is not something to be ashamed about. We need inclusion. We want to be included in everything that is going on, Think about our needs, that is all we are saying, and then most of the needs that we are talking about is not even expensive, or it's not even as if you need 3-4 days, to plan it out. Once it is there in the planning process only, once you build your buildings, beginning the planning of your building, to include persons with disabilities, then you are not going to be spending any extra money afterwards, extra expenses also. Disabled people are actually a very diverse group, like non-disabled people. They are a diverse group of people with a wide range of needs. And this is something that people need to understand, because people will take the example of one disability, and the needs of one disability, and think that it serves everybody else. Under the Disability Act 2016, the one that we are following now, is there are certain benefits, like the 4% reservation. There is 4% reservation in government jobs for persons with disabilities. So those kinds of benefits, these are, can be availed only by people with benchmark disabilities. So the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 is now the overarching legal framework on disability rights in India. The first Disability Act actually was passed in 1995, and we have to be honest, I've already said, nothing much was done in our state for a long time, and this was largely because of poor awareness and understanding of disability and disability issues. So now, in 2016, this new act was enacted in the Parliament. It was passed in Parliament and came into force in April 2017. So this act, the RPWD Act, it promotes and protects the rights and dignity of people with disabilities in all aspects of life: educational, social, legal, economic, cultural, political, and political. So there are various chapters and provisions with regard to all these aspects of life, in order to make sure that people with disabilities, people who live with disabilities, are getting equal opportunities. They are being included in all various aspects of life. So you will find various chapters on this. For example, in education, you will find that now the focus is on inclusive education, bringing both children with disabilities and non-disabled children together into one classroom, making sure that they learn together, grow together, and so that this fosters an inclusive mindset in children. So when they grow up, when they go out into the wider society, we can be sure that, the kind of feeling that most people have today, that will slowly disappear as we, we nurture our children in this inclusive mindset. So this inclusive education is a very, very important clause is a very important provision under the Disability Act, because it ensures that children with disabilities, people with disabilities, get access to quality education, and as well as in all the other aspects. It provides for full and effective participation and inclusion in society, And this applies not only to government, but it also applies to non-government and private organizations. That means to society as a whole. Right now, our focus has been largely with the government, because the government, as we said, has, it's not about the present government or one political party. It's about all governments. It's about all our political parties. It's about all our political leaders. For a long time, nobody has paid attention. Nothing was done by the government. So, in order to push things through, obviously the ultimate authority ultimately comes down to the government. So we are pushing the government, trying to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. But to be sure, this is not only for the government, but it's for the entire society, private organizations, businesses who are running shops and who have, any commercial activity going on. All these, the laws that are there, the provisions that are there under the Disability Act, it applies to the entire spectrum of, the society, not only the government. Many people, when they talk about disability, they think that it is just about, a few countable things. In fact, in the course of our work, talking to some communities, when we talk about disability, and the only thing that distinguishes a person with disability, it's not that they are different from any other person. They are like any other citizen. The only thing that distinguishes them is that they may need some adjustment or some adaptation in order to be able to do certain things in the same way that people without disability do. In every part of the world, disabled people, they have been stigmatized, they have been viewed as less, less of a citizen or less valuable than other people. Throughout the ages, throughout history, they have always been treated more or less like second-class citizens just because they look different, they talk differently, or because they, they may behave differently from what is perceived to be normal behavior. A non-disabled person, a woman may have to deal with that only now. A disabled woman has to deal with both the issues of gender and as well as the issues of disability. So they are, they have double, multiple disadvantages because of this, and they are also much more vulnerable to various forms of violence and deprivation in many ways.
Ita karne manase site TV Hornbill TV.